Part 47. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 461. In order to satisfy his sister's appetite, Xiaoming took out some food that had been strengthened by triple energy. Xiao Jing'er was very happy to eat, but the leader was miserable. Just like spilling some blood in the sea, it would attract countless sharks. In Hobbiton, which is full of foodies, taking out such delicious food naturally produced the same effect. Hobbits are more sensitive to the aroma of food than sharks are to the taste of blood. In less than 3 minutes, a large group of hobbits, who were only as tall as children, surrounded Xiaoming and Xiao Jing'er at once. "Sister, can I have a taste?" a hobbit child licked his fingers and said. "Mercenary brother, what did you eat just now? It smells so good." The one who said this was a fat girl, but she was considered slim in Hobbiton. Then, of course, there were also adult males who denounced, "You have such a good thing, but you eat it alone. You are not a good friend." Yes, friends should share food. Let us have a taste too." They were talking like tens of thousands of ducks making noise. Xiaoming's head hurt from the noise. He rolled his eyes at Xiao Jing'er. This girl was the culprit. Now she has eaten up her share and is just laughing on the side. She is gloating over other people's misfortunes. It's so hateful. Looking at the little people around him, Xiaoming sighed helplessly. He didn't want to cause this trouble. If it was someone else, Xiaoming could still say that he ate it all. But the life energy of this group of hobbits is so beautiful. They are kind and gentle, with simple temperaments. They often laugh, eat, and drink, and sometimes like to make harmless jokes. And they are very hospitable, like to give gifts to each other and hold banquets. Mingjing's squad was a mercenary who was completely unfamiliar with them, but they received extremely warm hospitality from them. At that time, people had no idea that Xiaoming had the ability to make delicious food. It was completely out of a sincere heart. Facing such a crowd, how could Xiaoming refuse? To be honest, Xiaoming has seen humans in many worlds, and none of them are as comfortable as the hobbits. For this reason alone, Xiaoming is willing to spend some energy for them. In modern society, people often look down on people begging on the streets. But they are willing to take the initiative to feed some stray cats and dogs. This is not to say that people are morally corrupt and regard cats and dogs as more important than people. It's just because most beggars are liars, and their families may be rich. And the skinny stray cats and dogs really have no food to eat. This is just the difference between people facing the truth and hypocrisy. Of course, there is a prerequisite. The economic and social security system of the New Han Kingdom is quite sound. If it is a person who really has no ability to survive, the government has a special agency to take care of them. There is no need to beg at all. People begging on the street are almost all liars or lazy people. So Xiaoming is the same, willing to consume a lot of energy for these hobbits. Of course, the food Xiaoming provides to the hobbits must not be triple enhanced. One level enhancement is enough. If their taste is too much, they will starve to death without Xiaoming in the future. So the banquet continued for several hours, and Xiaoming made a lot of enhanced food. Almost all the people in the village were fed and lay down. They had eaten a lot in the previous banquet, and now they encountered new delicacies. After trying hard to eat some, these hobbits didn't even have the ability to walk home. They almost died of bloating. They lay down on the ground in the banquet venue, sleeping soundly. There were only a few exceptions. Bilbo Baggins put on the ring and became invisible, and then quietly returned to his home. Xiaoming's circle was always monitoring. The ring's invisibility ability is very strong, and Xiaoming couldn't find Bilbo. Neither the telepathic circle nor the mental map scanning could detect him. Xiaoming's circle had been monitoring the grey-robed wizard Gandalf. Gandalf was a magician at the high level of level 6, close to level 7. His mental cultivation was naturally not low, and the map scanning would definitely not be hidden from him. Only Xiao Ming's unique, well-trained, and extremely vulgar telepathic ability circle could track and monitor Gandalf without being discovered. Gandalf guessed that Bilbo would go home, so he went straight to the destination. Following Gandalf were Bilbo's nephew Frodo Baggins and Frodo's gardener Sam. Frodo was smarter. Seeing Gandalf's behavior, he guessed something and chose to go home. And Sam followed him out of loyalty to Frodo and strong curiosity. If they knew that they missed Xiao Ming's fortified food feast in the future, they didn't know if they would regret it. But they will leave Hobbiton tonight, so they won't know for the time being. This part of the plot took a long time in the original movie. 17 years in the original book. Gandalf went to check the information and figured out the origin of the ring. The ring that Bilbo used for invisibility was the one ring forged by the Dark King Sauron. Sauron forged a total of 20 powerful rings, 3 of which were given to elves, 7 to dwarves, and 9 to humans. The last one was the one ring he secretly forged. It has the power to rule the other 19 rings. Later, Sauron was defeated and his body was destroyed. The ring was taken away by the human king Isildur. After Isildur's death, it fell into the hands of Gollum. 500 years later, the ring left Gollum and fell into the hands of Bilbo Baggins. Gandalf even went to look for Gollum, and went all the way to Mordor, Sauron's lair, and the outskirts of the fortress Barad-dûr. He learned that Gollum had been captured by the Dark King Sauron's subordinates. The other party already knew that the ring was in the Shire. However, this long plot was compressed by space, and Gandalf already knew these things now. Maybe he was afraid that the reincarnations would do something weird. Bilbo, Gandalf, Frodo and Sam gathered in Bilbo's house one after another. Gandalf explained everything about the Supreme Lord of the Rings to them. Bilbo was old, and he set off to the territory of the elves and reported a message by the way. The ring was carried by Frodo, accompanied by Sam. Gandalf agreed to meet them at the Prancing Pony Inn in Bree Village. Gandalf himself was going to meet his old friend and seek help. At the same time, Gandalf hired the Quiet Team to protect Frodo. This is also the main task too of the Quiet Team, protect Frodo and Sam and arrive at the Prancing Pony Inn in Bree Village. Since it was a spatial arrangement, Gandalf did not have any doubts about this group of strange guys. Otherwise, apart from anything else, just their oriental appearance would make it difficult for Gandalf to trust them. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 462. Ring Wraiths are the most loyal and terrible servants of the Dark King Sauron. They were originally 9 powerful and wise human kings, warriors, wizards, etc. They were deceived by Sauron and accepted the 9 human power rings given by Sauron. From then on, they succumbed to Sauron's invisible control one by one, and turned into terrifying ring wraiths after their physical death. It has to be said that human will is indeed poor in resisting temptation. At the beginning, the elves of Eregion were deceived by Sauron and made 19 rings. The 3 rings of the elves were not eroded by Sauron during the manufacturing process. It may be because the elves watched them more closely. Therefore, the 3 rings of the elves were not controlled by Sauron, and the remaining 16 rings were contaminated by Sauron. Due to the tenacity of the dwarves, the 7 rings of the dwarves had little effect on them, and no dwarves were contaminated and became ring wraiths. Only the 9 humans who accepted the rings did not resist Sauron's temptation and all became ring wraiths. It is really not a face for humans. In terms of strength alone, they are all masters of about level 6, but due to the special physique of the ring wraiths, their actual evaluation is even higher. In terms of physical attack, they are not very strong, but the attribute of not dying or getting tired is too terrible. And they have a strong aura of fear, which can bring fear and despair to the enemy. On the battlefield, low-level soldiers dare not attack him. The Witch King of Angmar, the leader of the ring wraiths, is extremely powerful. This time he brought the other 8 ring wraiths disguised as Dark Knights to retrieve the Supreme Lord for Lord Sauron. But he never expected that this mission would be so unsuccessful. Somehow, there are always many strange people who suddenly run out to block his steps. These people don't look like creatures, at least they are definitely not any known species in Middle-earth. They are also a little powerful. Needless to say, these are ordinary shadow clones sent by Xiao Ming, and shadow clones of orcs. In order to deal with the ring wraiths, Xiao Ming even sent out the alien queen Xiao He. After Gandalf left, the Mingjing team headed east with Frodo and Sam, and met 2 other villagers from Hobbiton, Pippin and Merry. They were good friends of Frodo and were active by nature. Hearing about this fun thing, they followed desperately. Soon after, Xiao Ming found a powerful enemy -9 ring wraiths led by the Witch King of Angmar. 9 level 6 masters are quite terrifying. If Xiao Ming has time and accumulates a large number of troops, he may be able to fight against them. At the moment, I am afraid that I am not a match for them. Xiao Ming couldn't help thinking deeply, no. This doesn't make sense. The enemy of level 6 is equivalent to a B-level reincarnation. Judging from the terrifying aura of the ring wraith, it seems that he can be considered a high-level 6th level or even a 7th level. Why would an E-level reincarnation team encounter a B-level enemy? Isn't this sending the Mingjing team to die? Xiao Ming changed his mind and analyzed it backwards. If it is assumed that this task is reasonable, then it is not impossible to explain. Although these enemies are powerful, they must have some weaknesses. Or a special plot. Otherwise, if it weren't for me and others, Frodo and the other 4 hobbits who were less than level 2 would have no chance to escape from the ring wraiths. In other words, Mingjing's team only needs to delay the ring wraiths for a while. There is no need to really defeat them. After listening to Xiao Ming's analysis, Xiao Jing, Zhang Wen, and Kraken went out with great enthusiasm and fought with the ring wraiths. The result was terrible. They failed to stop the ring wraiths at all and lost a chance to revive. My sister and brother Wen are actually still in the basic stage, and their physical fitness is barely level 2. Their poor combat experience cannot bring out the strength of level 2. With this kind of skills, let alone level 6 masters, even level 3 masters can kill them with one blow. Kraken's strength is difficult to judge. Like Yuji and Guangan Zhaozhu, he used some advanced means of space to cover Xiao Ming's exploration. This time he drove a 4-meter-tall robot to fight, and was chopped to pieces from head to toe by the Witch King of Angmar. He suffered the biggest loss. His life could be resurrected for free, but the robot was broken, and that was all money. After the setback in this battle, they never dared to face the ring wraiths again. They were really scared. The fear aura of the ring wraiths was not covered. Fortunately, my sister and brother Wen had the foundation of cultivating immortals, and Kraken was not a weakling. Xiao Ming's several Ice Heart Ju did not leave any mental damage. Then it was Xiao Ming's turn to show his skills. The low-level undead and puppets could not be accumulated in a short time. They were unable to resist the 6th-level ring wraiths. Xiao Ming sent out a multi-subdued mind beast shadow clone army and a large number of ordinary shadow clones to assist. Their 3-4th level strength can still play a role in delaying time. In fact, the person Xiao Ming should have sent out the 7th-level Zhang Zhong. But Zhang Zhong was determined not to leave Xiao Ming too far. Xiao Ming was also unwilling to get too close to the ring wraiths. He didn't think he could withstand the attacks of the ring wraiths. Fortunately, Zhang Zhong was a long-range fighter. He could hold them back from the side. There was a forest between Hobbiton and Bree village. This was a perfect place for an ambush. Xiao Ming stayed with Zhang Zhong. When the 9 ring wraiths entered the forest, they found that it was covered in fog. The ring wraiths also had to slow down the speed of their horses, and then began to endure the non-stop attacks of the surrounding mind beasts and shadow clones. The Witch King of Angmar swept his sword, and the 4 shadow clones were chopped into smoke. Suddenly, a mind arrow shot over, and the Witch King of Angmar blocked it with his sword. The huge impact force made his corrupted warhorse retreat a few steps. This arrow was the moon-shooting arrow shot by Zhang Zhon from a distance. In terms of strength, Zhang Zhon was still above the Witch King of Angmar, but the distance was really far, so this arrow could only make him stagger a few steps. But this was enough, and dozens of shadow clones rushed over and launched a self-destruction together. The powerful explosive force completely killed the corrupted warhorse under his crotch. The Witch King of Angmar only suffered some injuries, and he quickly recovered by mobilizing the magic power in his body. He stood up and looked around, and saw that after several explosions, the horses of the other 8 ring wraiths were also blown to death. Not a single one was left. The enemy's purpose of delaying him was already obvious. And the man who shot me with an arrow is probably as strong as me. Without a horse and with a strong enemy in front of him, how can I complete the task assigned by my master? Should I ask Saruman, the white-robed wizard of Isengard, for help? That old fox is not easy to deal with, and distant water cannot quench immediate thirst. It's better to just rob a few horses. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 463. Buckaberry Ferry connects the Marish Marshes to Buckland on the other side. The ferry is composed of a simple wooden plank trestle, with white stones as eye-catching signs. In the original plot, the 4 hobbits boarded the ship here relying on their natural agility and a little luck, the protagonist's aura. Relying on the barrier of water, he temporarily avoided the pursuit of the Nazgul. At this time, the ring wraiths still needed to conceal their identities, so they disguised themselves as dark knights and came on horseback. If they were riding dragon-shaped monsters corrupted by evil. Frodo and others are absolutely not immune. Even a big river can't stop people from flying. Now and then, this time the ring spirits were harassed by Xiao Ming's men. Already trapped in an endless cycle of losing the warhorse rightward arrow, snatching the warhorse everywhere rightward arrow, encountering the mind beast and shadow clone again rightward arrow, losing the warhorse again. The Nazgul even tried to divide their forces, hoping that some of them could escape the interference of these strange creatures. It's a pity that things went against expectations, and wisdom was misled by wisdom. After the troops were divided, the combat effectiveness was dispersed, and Xiao Ming's intervention became more effective. At the same time, Xiao Ming's experience in killing horses has also become particularly rich. Even if the Nazgul try their best to protect the war horse. But the vitality of ordinary war horses is too low. The mind beast and the shadow clone attacked casually, and the war horse died. Even the aftermath of the shadow clone's self-destruction can kill it. In the end, the Nazgul had no choice but to advance on foot to pursue them. Its traveling speed can also be imagined. The Nazgul have actually lost their bodies and are equivalent to ghosts. They are invisible to mortals. The appearance of their bodies could only be seen through the black clothes they wore. This invisibility certainly doesn't work for Xiao Ming. Wearing this black robe and riding a horse to look down on them, coupled with their fearful aura, is quite intimidating. But now, dragging a long strip of cloth while walking on the muddy ground is very joyful. It seemed like sanitation workers were sweeping the floor. Even so, as long as they speed up a little, they will be violently harassed by Xiao Ming. Since it was easy to determine the direction on foot, Xiao Ming placed a mine array on their path. Used telekinesis mines to blast the ring wraiths into disgrace. This method is more energy saving for Xiao Ming. The effect is still not bad. The reincarnation space does not like to force reincarnations to face dangerous situations. Facing desperate situations may trigger fighting potential. But what space requires is not just pure combat ability. As long as the harassment from the reincarnators is enough, the reincarnation space will not forcibly increase the difficulty. The intensity of harassment Xiaoming carried out was definitely enough. There is also a level 7 Zhang Zhong beside him. Of course, in the world of reincarnation, Zhang Xiaoming, as a VIP, can do anything, and the system will basically not counterattack. Occasionally you need to make up for it. To a certain extent, Xiaoming received the same treatment as the native residents of the reincarnation world, or even higher. Xiaoming is equivalent to part of the plot. So this time, Frodo and others did not cross the ferry at Buckberry overnight, but had a good sleep. After breakfast the next day, Shi Shiren crossed the river with Mingjing's team. At this time, the ring wraiths are on their way to find the war horses. The group arrived at the Prancing Pony Hotel in Buri village in broad daylight. Main mission 2 completed. At this time, Mingjing's team can almost confirm that these 4 hobbits should be the protagonists. Gandalf had not arrived yet. The 4 hobbits had to wait. Mingjing's team also stayed. While dining together, Frodo secretly played with the One Ring and began to be tempted by it. If Xiaoming's true form is present, a Bing Xianju can wake him up. Unexpectedly, Yin Xiaoming is still causing trouble for the ring spirit in the distance. There is only one shadow clone in the team. He didn't even notice anything strange about Frodo. The entire Mingjing team was focused on observing whether any outsiders would pose a threat to the hobbits. Instead, little attention is paid to Frodo himself. So the plot that was supposed to happen happened again. Frodo fell down while running and accidentally put on the ring, making him invisible. Everyone was surprised. A ranger strider in the inn grabbed the newly revealed Frodo and took him away. The 3 friends hurriedly chased after them, and the people from Mingjing's team were not far behind. "Let him go, or I'll make you look good," Longlegs Sam rushed into Strider's room and shouted at him with his bare hands. At the same time, Merry held the candlestick and Pippin followed Sam on the bench, eager to try. Behind them are the shadow clones of Xiao Jing Brother Wen, Kraken, and Xiaoming. Strider raised his sword in front of him as a sign of respect, then sheathed it. "You are brave, hobbits, but this cannot save you." Then he walked to Frodo and said solemnly, "You can't wait any longer for the wizards, they're coming." Everyone in Mingjing's team showed disbelief on their faces. Breaking through the harassment of his own captain and coming here, what an international joke. That's right, at this time, the ring wraiths were still on their way to find the war horses. The weather was just right, and everyone set off immediately, led by Ranger Strider, to the elves' territory, Rivendell. Mingjing's team was hired again. Main mission 3, escort Frodo and others to Rivendell with Strider. Along the way, the ranger popularized some common sense about the Lord of the Rings, the ring wraiths and Sauron. As a ranger, this guy knows too much. However, his magnetic voice made the story very attractive. Everyone listened attentively. In the future, if he doesn't make games, he can also make a living by telling stories. Maybe he can live a better life than now. Pippin and Merry had eaten Xiaoming's fortified food before, and of course they encouraged Xiaoming to make more along the way. Xiaoming just dealt with it in a scattered manner. Frodo, Sam, and Strider all benefited from it and had a big appetite. The speed of travel was much faster. Strider praised Xiaoming's cooking skills. He was willing to exchange swordsmanship for food. "This big guy is a bit cheap. But this is exactly what Xiaoming wants. If you want to practice supernatural powers, shadow clones are not suitable. It should be no problem to practice swordsmanship alone." Xiaoming even sent out more shadow clones. Strider was also shocked when he saw the dozen or so Zhang Xiaoming surrounding him. No wonder Zhang Xiaoming is the captain, his ability is really amazing. The Kraken over there who can transform into a big puppet is also inferior. He didn't know that while he was praising Xiaoming's ability, Xiaoming was also sighing at his high skills. His strength was clearly seen in the scanned map. Like the ring wraith, he is also level 6. It seems that his attack and agility are still higher than the Ring Wraith. Is this world having a promotion? Masters are wholesale. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 464. Chapter 464 31 Brothers. The 6th level Strider teaches Xiaoming swordsmanship. It is obvious that he will not teach his own unique swordsmanship. However, many high-level skills can be taught. Xiaoming is best at the Naga 6-arm swordsmanship in terms of weapons. The key is that the moves are relatively simple and do not require too much effort. He also has some relatively awesome swordsmanship in swordsmanship. In the Xianjian world, Xiaoming secretly learned the Lin family swordsmanship. Later, Lin Yuuru was trapped in the locking demon tower for a long time. Following her and Li Xiaoao's daily sparring, Xiaoming has a good foundation in swordsmanship. In addition, the Lin family swordsmanship has also been shed from the name of thieves, and the second sister Lin Yuuru has officially taught it to him. The Lin family swordsmanship originated from the Xianjia martial arts. Basically, it is enough before the 7th level. However, Xiaoming's practice level is naturally not enough. It is usually used to fight low-level enemies. The skills for fighting high-level enemies need to be strengthened. The appearance of the Strider is just in time. Just teaching 20 shadow clones in one go, Strider felt that he had lost a lot. Later, when eating Xiaoming's barbecue, he ate it very fiercely. He almost ate more than those hobbits. Soon, the 4 hobbits joined in because it was fun. But they were just playing around. They were not even at level 2 yet, so they could only join in for fun and could not keep up with Xiaoming's progress. Xiao Jing'er and Brother Wen mainly practiced telekinesis and Taoism and did not participate. Xiaoming actually had many skills to teach his sister and the fat man. But Xiaoming did not do so. This was certainly not because Xiaoming was stingy, but mainly because he was afraid that they would bite off more than they could chew. Xiaoming himself was very casual. Their objective conditions were different. Of course, they only taught swordsmanship when the team was resting. There were still the ring wraiths chasing them. They had to give them some face and not be too comfortable. At this time, the ring wraiths were on their way on foot. When they just started to fight the ring wraiths, Lu Xiaoming and Zhao Zhizhu, who were far away in the southeast, almost rushed back. Later, they found that it was easy to slow down the speed of the ring wraiths, and there was no need to go there by themselves. So they continued to go southeast. Maomoer has been with Xiao Xiaoer. Therefore, Xiaoming can't use the wings of Hot Blood Neza to fly for the time being. But the mechanical octopus can fly, and it can completely carry himself and Yujian Guangan Zhao Zhizhu. Xiaoming simply keeps flying on the mechanical octopus. In fact, it can also be used with a flying sword, but the speed of the flying sword is too fast, even the enemy can't catch up with him. That's not good. Xiaoming is still thinking about fishing. The mechanical octopus is more eye-catching. Although it doesn't fly high from the ground and is not fast, it has a high character. There is no such thing in Middle-earth. So human robbers, orcs have all come to rob these 2 seemingly fat sheep guys. Moreover, because the Insect King and Zhao Zhizhu only used swordsmanship to fight the enemy, they did not use their powerful core ability. The enemy thought that if they had more people and worked harder, they should be able to win, so the bandits who came to attack continued. Later, the number of people gradually exceeded 100, 200, and even 300. 2 mechanical octopuses also joined the battle. They each had more than a dozen metal tentacles, both hot weapons and cold weapons. Even if they didn't take anything, the tentacles would be an iron whip when rolled. When facing the orcs, they were more stylish than Xiaoming and Zhao Zhizhu. Finally, a half-orc army of more than 1,000 people came up. Xiaoming and his buddies were just too lazy to cut people. So a dozen shadow clones, holding more than a dozen hacker energy submachine guns, shot all the half-orcs in half an hour. Although the second-third level half-orcs are not afraid of ordinary submachine guns. But Xiao Ming used hacker energy weapons. This thing shoots half-orcs, and there is no difference between shooting ordinary people. They are all shot dead. This finally frightened all the bandits. Everyone had only one sentence in their mind, MMP. Damn. It's too dark. If you have such a weapon, why don't you show it earlier? We don't have to go up and die. Xiao Ming's idea just answered their questions. If it was shown earlier, you wouldn't rush up. Where should I find you bad guys? More than 1,000 bandits died so easily in the battle, and their bodies were not left after death. They all turned into undead materials and death breath. Lu Xiaoming and Zhao Zhuzhu became famous in one battle. Jianghu people called them the Butcher Brothers. Since then, no bandits dared to tease their tiger whiskers. Not long after, a team of strong orc cavalry arrived from the southeast, but they did not take any offensive actions. The leader, a level 5 strong orc, jumped off the horse. He strode to Xiaoming and bowed his head. Respected strong man, I am Abuna, a general under the command of the white-robed wizard Saruman. The name of the Butcher Brother is well known. The wizard wants to invite you two to meet in Isengard. He will definitely entertain you warmly. Please give the white-robed wizard a face. Although the other party looks ugly and ferocious, and his temperament is also evil. But he is polite and considerate. Xiaoming has no intention of hitting a smiling person for the time being. The white-robed wizard Saruman mentioned by the other party is a well-known wizard in Middle-earth. Xiaoming naturally thought of the grey-robed wizard Gandalf. If the other party is similar to Gandalf, then he is a powerful and righteous existence. It is worth meeting him. However, Zhao Zhuzhu doesn't like Abuna, a strong orc with an evil temperament. He is even less interested in meeting his master Saruman. After discussing with Xiaoming, he teleported to Yin Xiaoming through Guangmingding. However, before he left, he asked for a mechanical octopus. He promised that he would give good things as a reward for the next mission. As a dragon, Zhao Zhuzhu probably couldn't use the mechanical octopus's ability to fly, and he didn't know what he valued. Xiaoming didn't refuse his request. Zhao Zhuzhu ran to Yin Xiaoming and immediately rushed up to fight with the ring wraith. I didn't expect that he could hold out for more than 20 rounds under the hands of the 6th level ring wraith before being defeated. He was protected by the shadow clone. What level is this guy? Maybe he hasn't tried his best. Xiaoming also sat on the mechanical octopus and headed towards Isengard with the strong orc Abuna. While traveling together, Xiaoming also took the initiative to ask Abuna about the information about Middle-earth. Although Abuna is not a good thing, his mind is relatively simple. He knows a lot. Since the host's VIP asked questions, he naturally told everything he knew. Xiaoming benefited a lot. Unfortunately, Abuna's eloquence is not good enough, and his words are dry and not as good as Strider's. Moreover, his values are not right. He worships power and regards killing as beautiful. Many of his words must be heard in reverse. At this time, the ring wraiths are still on the road to chase the Lord of the Rings. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 465. The Insect King Lu Xiaoming and Yujian Guangan Zhao Zhuzhu walk southeast from the beginning of the mission. It was not until many days later that Gandalf the Grey set out from Hobbiton and headed for Isengard. However, Xiaoming and Zhao Zhuzhu traveled along the way and robbed bandits. Their speed was very slow, and they were overtaken by Gandalf. When the strong orc Abuna invited Xiaoming, Gandalf had already arrived in front of Saruman. Unfortunately, Gandalf didn't know that this good friend who had fought side by side with him in the past had thrown himself into the arms of Sauron and betrayed the camp of justice. As a result, his strength was slightly inferior, and he was unintentional. Gandalf was defeated and imprisoned by Saruman on the Orthan Tower in the center of Isengard. This tower does not look like a human creation, but rather like a skeleton pulled out of the ground. It is actually an isolated rock peak, with a black surface reflecting light, and 4 huge polyhedrons forcibly fused together. At the top, the branches and leaves spread out, the tips are as sharp as the tip of a spear, and the edges are as sharp as a blade. There is a platform between these sharp rocks, and many strange symbols are carved on the polished and smooth ground. People standing on it can overlook the ground from a height of nearly 500 feet above the ground. Gandalf was trapped here. The scenery is very good at such a high place, and Saruman is still very respectful. The cold wind at high altitude should not be a big deal for Maya. Gandalf saw with his own eyes that the orcs and the strong orcs entered the fortress of Isengard and prepared for war frantically. This is clearly to fight with the Justice Camp together with Sauron. And the humans and elves don't know about this yet, and the grey-robed wizard can't help but worry. Suddenly one day, he saw a group of strong orcs under the tower leading a strange-looking guy into Isengard. Saruman even greeted them at the door and treated them the same as Gandalf. This person is naturally Green Xiaoming. Undead Wizard John, meet His Excellency the white-robed wizard Saruman. Green Xiaoming did not wait for the strong orc Abuna to introduce, and took the initiative to greet Saruman. At the same time, he made up a new name. The Insect King has a strange body shape. Although Xiaoming used the transformation technique to cover himself. But this degree must not be hidden from the eyes of Gandalf and Saruman. Gandalf probably classified Xiaoming into the evil camp. Saruman was very kind to John with this appearance. Because he was one of his own at a glance. It has to be said that Middle-earth is really a world that looks at faces. Don't you know that you can't judge a person by his appearance, and you can't measure the sea water by a scoop? Names such as Zhang Xiaoming, leader, and even explorer can only be used on the original body. Using them on the Insect King may cause trouble. Imagine if the Insect King calls himself Zhang Xiaoming this time, or even calls himself the deceased. After Xiaoming leaves this round of mission, the world of the Lord of the Rings will continue to evolve, and Saruman may talk about it to the reincarnations who come later. There was a necromancer named Zhang Xiaoming / telling the dead. What does he look like? Wouldn't that reveal everything? You can't do that. That's why Xiaoming gave the Insect King a name that he had never used before. Welcome the necromancer to Isengard, my friend. I am ignorant and this is the first time I have heard of necromancers. Please feel free to teach me. Saruman was actually very arrogant in his heart. But he still had to pretend on the surface. He was actually still wondering what was going on with this necromancer. There should be only a few of us Maya walking in Middle-earth. When did another necromancer appear? Judging from his appearance, he is definitely not a Maya. Maya is a subordinate of the Valor gods. They are outstanding and powerful. The Valor sent 5 Maya to Middle-earth to help the creatures there. They are similar to sub-gods. The most famous ones are Gandalf the Grey, Saruman the White, Radagast the Brown, Morda the Blue and Romith Dano the Blue. Even Sauron was once a Maya, otherwise he could not deceive the elves and forge the ring. Green Xiaoming is of course not a Maya, he is a bug human. Feeling Saruman's heart, Xiaoming hurriedly thanked him. Necromancer is not a great skill, and it is not comparable to the White Wizard. Ha ha ha, Mr. John is too polite. Come on, come in. I believe we can become good friends. Of course, of course. The two walked into the Orthan Tower side by side, chatting and laughing. After entering the tower, Xiaoming took the initiative to remove his disguise and revealed his true figure. This statement made Saruman very satisfied. He held a banquet to welcome Mr. John. Of course, they didn't talk about any serious matters on the first day, but only talked about some unimportant things. After that, Saruman arranged Xiaoming to rest in the tower. Such a strong desire to catch shrimps. When I met the tree demon grandma in the world of a Chinese ghost story, it seemed to be the same rhythm. It's just that the grandma has good wine and food, and beautiful women accompany her. Saruman's side, the food is very simple. There is not a single beautiful woman in the whole tower. Except for the orcs, there are strong orcs. The gap is too big. At the same time, Yin Xiaoming and his party have arrived at the sentry tower of Fenyunding. It seems that they will stay here tonight. I'm starving, master, barbecue, barbecue. Pippin shouted first, and others followed suit. Strider smiled but said nothing. He would definitely not let Strider make a fuss. But he also wanted to eat Xiaoming's barbecue, so he was happy to see it happen. In the original book, the hobbits lit a fire at night, which attracted the attack of 5 ring wraiths. Frodo was also injured by the ring wraiths' weapons and cursed. He almost fell into the dark world and turned into something like a ring wraith. Later he was rescued by the elves. This time the situation was different. The ring wraiths had not appeared for several days. Strider's vigilance was also lowered. It seemed that it was really like what the leader said. The ring wraiths were all tied up by him on the road dozens of miles away. Seeing his clones, Strider felt that he might really be able to do it. So he did not restrict everyone from making fire and cooking. Unfortunately, his focus was only on the ring wraiths, but he did not notice other characters. It was not just the 9 ring wraiths sent by Sauron who were looking for the Supreme Ring. After learning the news, Saruman also sent his orc subordinates to look for the hobbits everywhere. They were not strong and did not attract Xiaoming's attention. But unfortunately, some of them had a conflict with the Butcher brothers, the Insect King and Zhao Zhizhu, and were killed by them. The 5th level leader of this team also died under Zhang Zhong's arrow. The leader died, and the ring was not found. The rest of the orcs dared not return to Isengard empty-handed. Wouldn't they be stewed by Saruman if they went back? The remaining 30 or so orcs had no choice but to continue looking for the ring in the hope of atonement. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 466. After much inquiry and many twists and turns, the orcs sent by Saruman finally caught up to the vicinity of the top of the wind. Because the distance was still far, they were not discovered by the Strider. But they did not hide from Xiaoming's circle and scanning map. That night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse, and the magpies flew south. The night wind blew over various stones, making all kinds of strange sounds. It was like ghosts crying and howling, it was like some musical instruments playing in a distorted tone. Anyone who often camps outdoors knows that at night, everything is silent and you can hear many sounds that you can't hear during the day. The wind blowing over stones is just one of them. If you are a timid person or someone who is easily frightened, you may not be able to sleep all night. On the watchtower, the well-fed hobbits and the Strider fell asleep. They can be so comfortable and free, naturally, because the shadow clone who doesn't need to sleep takes on the responsibility of keeping watch. Not far below the watchtower, there is also a uniformed butler shadow clone sent by Xiaoming. For the convenience of fighting, 10 butler clones, except for one each around the main body and the Insect King, the other 8 were sent out. They were scattered around the 2 Xiaomings within a radius of 200 kilometers. This one was not far from the Lord of the Rings team, ready to transfer Xiaoming to help at any time. After discovering that an orc team was approaching the Lord of the Rings team, Xiaoming thought for a moment and asked Zhang Zhong to enter Kunlun first, then Xiaoming came to the bottom of the sentry tower through the bright summit. It can be seen that 2 4th-level strong orc leaders, leading more than 30 subordinates, are quietly approaching the Fenyunding sentry tower with the help of the grassland and the cover of the night. These orcs are only 3rd-level strong orcs and 2nd-level half-orcs. Such powerful opponents really don't interest Xiao Ming. It's no problem for the 6th level Strider to fight them. It's just that once the melee starts, the 4 hobbits are vulnerable. And the 9 ring spirits over there are the real trouble. Xiao Ming doesn't have much time to fight these guys here. A quick battle is the best policy. Zhang Zhong did not come out of Kunlun, but attacked through the opening of Kunlun at Yin Xiaoming. Xiaoming raised his right hand and aimed at the direction of the orc's attack. First, 2 moon-shooting arrows shot out quickly, killing the 2 level 4 leaders in an instant. Both orcs were shot through the neck, unable to make a sound, and fell on the grass with blood spurting out. Before the other orcs had time to shout loudly, the 10,000 arrows technique was activated, but it only took more than 30 arrows. The orcs followed the leader's footsteps one after another. They were still shot through the neck and died. Zhang Zhong's archery skills have reached perfection. Xiaoming was too lazy to even clean up the corpses, and turned back from the bright summit to the vicinity of the ring wraiths to continue to delay their actions. The whole process took less than 3 minutes. The short battle below the sentry tower still woke up the Strider, and he stood up as soon as he turned over. The long sword also left his body. It's okay. The leader has dealt with it. You can go back to sleep, Xiao Ming's shadow clone said calmly. He saw the battle below clearly. But even if he said so, Strider still had to confirm it with his own eyes. He asked the shadow clone to continue to keep watch, and he went down the watchtower to investigate. After an hour, he came back with an abnormal look on his face. The traces left by the 7th level Zhang Zhong's attack had a great impact on him. On the way afterwards, whether it was teaching Xiao Ming swordsmanship or practicing himself, he was obviously much more serious. A few days later, an extremely beautiful female elf met the team, and her conversation with Strider was quite ambiguous. At this time, Frodo was not injured, and the ring wraiths did not pose a threat. The female elf was not in a hurry to travel, but returned to Rivendell with everyone. The elven princess Arwen is the daughter of King Elrond, the elven lord of Rivendell, and a 6th level master. If Frodo was injured at this time, Arwen would immediately follow the plot, ride a fast horse to take Frodo away, and rush back to Rivendell day and night. If the plot of Frodo's injury was changed by the Reincarnator, Arwen's stay was obviously a reward to the Reincarnator, giving everyone a chance to improve their favorability. Although Xiao Ming's body is not here, he can still send back the source energy enhanced food through Bright Summit. He has been doing this since he went to intercept the ring wraiths. However, the enhanced food that has always been successful was completely defeated in front of the elf princess. She didn't take it seriously at all. Later, it was Xiaolu who separated some spiritual and enhanced fruits, which made Princess Arwen smile. This person is really picky, worthy of being an elf princess, with a high vision. In the Mingjing team, the one who can really talk to the princess is Yujian Guangan Zhaozhu, who just left Xiaoming and returned to the team. Arwen has never seen a dragon like Zhaozhu on the Midway continent. I didn't know there were dragons that could transform into human form. To be honest, Arwen didn't see through Zhaozhu's true form, but only felt his high-end blood power. The space shielding that Zhaozhu suffered was completely for the reincarnationists, and had no effect on the plot characters. With Zhaozhu's face, the princess promised to give the reincarnationists appropriate rewards after returning to Rivendell. Everyone in Mingjing's team was very happy. They secretly calculated in their hearts, the elves should not be stingy, right? At this time, the ring wraiths were already very uncomfortable with Xiaoming's harassment. Fortunately, they were cursed by the ring and became special ghosts, and many emotions have disappeared long ago. Otherwise, after being harassed by Xiaoming until now, at least half of them would have been so angry that they vomited blood, and the other half would probably have gone half crazy. Although they are not crazy at the moment, they know that this will definitely not work. At the command of the Witch King of Angmar, the 9 ring wraiths fled rapidly in all directions, it depends on how many Xiaoming can stop. The existence of the ring wraiths is actually a bit like the mind beast or the shadow clone. They are not really dead. But the energy they carry is limited. When the energy is exhausted, the body will naturally not be able to maintain. It seems like death. But they can still be resurrected by Sauron's side. So they are actually nothing to be afraid of. For these most loyal servants, Sauron will not punish them severely for a little thing. Of course, Xiaoming is still very cowardly and dare not run to the ring wraiths for close combat, so this battle is still a very, very boring war of attrition. The mind beasts and shadow clones rushed to the ring wraiths one after another and exploded. Zhang Zhong attacked with bows and arrows from a distance. He exhausted the energy of the ring wraiths one by one, and Xiaoming relied on his speed to chase them several times. In the end, he exhausted the energy of the 5 ring wraiths led by the Witch King of Angmar. The other 4 ring wraiths ran too far in the opposite direction. Xiaoming was too lazy to travel a long distance to chase them. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 467. It seems that this group of 6th level ring wraiths are a bit weak. They were actually blocked by Xiaoming's human wave tactics and horse-killing tactics. It is really embarrassing for the 6th level master. There are several reasons for this. One is that the ring wraiths did not ride the flying dragon-shaped monsters in order not to reveal their identities. If they came riding monsters, Xiaoming would definitely not be able to do anything to them. Although Xiaoming can fight in the air, he is not familiar with air combat after all. The air force at his disposal is not enough to intercept the ring wraiths. That kind of monster is not as weak as the corrupted warhorse, and it is not so easy to kill it by self-destruction. Another reason is that the ring wraiths are special, and their attack power is not very strong. In particular, there is no large-scale lethal attack method. They have a fear aura that can shock soldiers of all races on a large scale. Quite powerful. Unfortunately, this method is useless against the mind beast and the shadow clone. So the strengths of the ring wraiths are restrained. Another reason is that the spell of self-destruction is too unconventional. If it is a level 4 human, orc or elf soldier, the individual strength is actually stronger than the mind beast and shadow clone. But they can't stop the ring wraiths, and that little combat power is completely useless. It won't even cause any harm to the ring wraiths. But the self-explosion of the level 3 shadow clone can make the ring wraiths look humiliated. Because the clones and mind beasts are originally energy bodies, the self-explosion will detonate the energy of the whole body, so how can the power be small? This is a super terrifying attack. In addition, not bringing troops to assist is also one of the reasons for the failure of the ring wraith mission. Of course, bringing troops is not reliable. Bringing too many will easily expose the target. If you bring too few, Xiaoming will be gone after a bomb. It can only be said that the ring wraiths met the various Xiaoming in this operation, which is also a big bad luck. What if Xiaoming is not there? This task is assigned to the Mingjing team. If there is no Xiaoming, how should the Mingjing team do this task? The answer is, fill it with life. In the team upgrade task, Mingjing team got a very good reward. For a 3-star team, each person can be resurrected 3 times for free in each world. Because of this good result, they have the opportunity to enter the world of Lord of the Rings. Otherwise, they are actually not qualified. The strength of E-level reincarnation is actually the lowest in this world. Any level 2 orc is higher than Xiao Jing'er and Wen Ji. However, in the original plot, even without reincarnation, Frodo reached Rivendell dangerously. So in fact, Mingjing team only needs to delay the ring wraiths for enough time. In the eyes of the space, in addition to Xiaoming, Mingjing team has 5 members, each of whom can be resurrected 3 times for free. 15 deaths, as long as they are used well, can cause enough trouble to the ring wraiths. Completing the task is not a problem. This is still the space treating all 5 team members as E-level to D-level reincarnations. In fact, the 3 of them, the fat guardian Zhang Wen, the leader's sister Xiao Jing and the young leader Xiao Xiao are indeed at this level. Yijian Guanghan Zhaozhous, who is at least a B-level reincarnationist. His strength is no less than that of the female death god Xian Shui who was seen on Mars. It is very likely that he is even stronger. Kraken's performance is at least a C-level reincarnationist. It is also very likely to be stronger. As a mecha pilot, his combat power is all in the mecha. He may have a very good mecha hidden, but he has not used it yet. If they go all out, there will be no problem intercepting for a certain period of time. But they don't plan to go all out. They are just watching the show. Xiaoming is enough. Rivendell is in the east of the Shire, in the middle of the Misty Mountains. Isengard, where Saruman is in the southeast of the Shire and the south of Rivendell. The Insect King Green Xiaoming has been a guest here for a long time. Xiaoming really wants to see the magic of Middle-earth. If there is a chance, he would like to learn it. However, the magic ability of Middle-earth is different from that of the Yanhuang Trinity star system. This kind of magic energy already exists in the universe of the Yanhuang Trinity star system. Various creatures have mastered the application of this energy, which is called magic. Those who can use magic in Middle-earth rely on their bloodline and are born with magic. For example, Mayas such as Gandalf and Saruman, or elves also have certain magic abilities. In general, they do not use magic very widely, and when fighting, they still rely mainly on force. Even Gandalf and Saruman can swing their staffs to fight hard. The degree of development of magic application is far less than that of the Harry Potter secret realm that Xiaoming has entered. Unfortunately, the advanced magic in the Harry Potter secret realm mostly requires a magic wand to be used. Flying also depends on the magic broom of that secret realm. It can share the same magic power with the Yanhuang Trinity star system. But it is completely two different systems. Xiaoming certainly has a lot of magic wands and brooms in the secret realm. However, those are virtual things and cannot be brought to the real world. Today, Xiaoming doesn't have the ability to make a magic wand and a broom by himself. These two things are in the textbook and are being analyzed. Xiaoming's textbook is a strange skill. Whether it is virtual or real objects, it can be analyzed. However, it is easier to analyze the results of real things. It is not so easy to say about virtual things. Since this undead wizard who called himself John could not learn magic, Saruman's evaluation of him was inevitably lowered. He even suspected that this guy was here to deceive people. In the past, there was also a rumor about a necromancer in Dol Guldur in Middle-earth. But Saruman knew that he was actually the Dark King Sauron pretending to be him. Now there is another undead wizard whose background is unknown, and he is not a Maya or an elf. How can Saruman believe it? Xiaoming did not spend much time to explain this. He raised his hand and sprinkled a large piece of bones, and then used the advanced summoning skeleton. Hulala, under the effect of magic power, the bones combined into more than 20 skeleton soldiers out of thin air. Looking at these 2-3 level skeleton soldiers, Saruman drooled a little. This is too easy. I think about how much effort I put in to recruit and subdue the orcs in the Misty Mountains. I had to rely on Sauron's reputation. It would be great if I could learn this kind of undead magic. With my talent, it would be a piece of cake to create a powerful undead army and fight against a large number of undead armies. By then, it would be no problem to even compete with Sauron. If I don't accept it, I dare to fight with Sauron. It is absolutely a pie in the sky to meet this undead wizard. I am lucky. Thinking of this, Saruman immediately smiled like an ant. Seeing this, the Insect King felt cold all over and shivered. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 468. Xiaoming's undead magic is not just about summoning skeletons. There are also intermediate bone repair, intermediate skeleton strengthening, and intermediate skeleton troop development. These are obviously supporting magic for summoning skeletons. After a series of operations, Saruman was fascinated. Especially intermediate skeleton troop development, when Xiaoming mixed it with source energy, the success rate of developing new troops was almost 100%. He also developed a lot of flying skeleton soldiers with pyro-steel wings. It goes without saying how much strategic role this will play in sieges. Seeing the complete range of skeleton soldiers that can continue to be strengthened, Saruman's saliva almost flowed out. Due to time constraints, Saruman commissioned Xiaoming to make more skeleton soldiers while trying to learn magic from him. Learning undead magic has made the white-robed wizard suffer. There is no magic energy in the world of the Lord of the Rings. Saruman must find a way to use Maya's magic to play this kind of magic. This is an extremely difficult task, and it may even be impossible to do it. Besides, Xiaoming is not a good teacher. On the one hand, his teaching ability is very average. He knows the facts but not the reasons, and he doesn't know how to teach. He also doesn't use teacher uniforms to assist teaching. He only relies on himself to demonstrate magic and lets Saruman watch and learn, which is not effective. On the other hand, after so many days, Xiaoming also discovered the true situation of Saruman. He followed the strong orc Abuna to Isengard because Saruman was a white-robed wizard. Xiaoming thought he and Gandalf were the same kind. So even if Abuna was not a good person, Xiaoming thought Saruman should be a good person. But after a while, Xiaoming gradually found that this Saruman was very wrong. His naivete was broken. He didn't expect that Gandalf, a friend with thick eyebrows and big eyes, was actually a bad guy. Just look at his subordinates, either half-orcs, or strong orcs, and some humans, who are also robbers. In addition, the entire Isengard fortress is preparing for war. He cut down trees day and night, forged armor and weapons. At the same time, he cultivated a large number of strong orcs. His goal was also to target the human kingdom, Rohan. All these showed that he had changed camps. Don't even mention Xiaoming, even Gandalf himself didn't expect it. He was also locked up here by his old friend. Due to the appearance and ability of the Insect King, Saruman normally thought that he was a member of the evil camp, and these things were not hidden from him at all. So Xiaoming also kept a watchful eye and did not use the more powerful Death Harvest. At the same time, he was also secretly planning how to deal with Saruman. During this period, Gandalf secretly escaped. Saruman, who was obsessed with studying the magic of the dead, didn't care. With John, the dead wizard, he was more valuable than Gandalf. And Xiaoming didn't know that Gandalf was locked up here. However, Saruman deliberately kept a hand and concealed Xiaoming's existence in front of Sauron. He didn't let Xiaoming face Sauron's mental power head-on. A few days later, Frodo's team arrived at Rivendell, and Mingjing's team completed the main task 3. At this time, the entire team will be taken away from the world of the Lord of the Rings by space. How can this be done? After finally coming to the Elf Kingdom, you have to have fun? Besides, the gifts promised by Princess Arwen have not been received yet. Of course, the issue of gifts is a small matter. After leaving this world, everyone's contribution can still be used to exchange for items in this world. There is no substantial difference in this point. Only Xiaoming is different. After Xiaoming leaves, he can no longer exchange such items. All evaluations will be converted into source energy. Although that is not a loss. However, Xiaoming is still interested in the things of the elves, and the team members also want to play in Rivendell. So Xiaoming used a Team E-level task card. The team members all received a very simple task, to reach a friendly favorability with any elf. The task time limit is 7 days. This is a water skiing task, and everyone's relationship with Princess Arwen will soon be friendly. After the reincarnationists complete the main task 3, they use the first task card to get the task, which is basically like this. Of course, there are also unlucky ones. This task is obviously designed to give the reincarnationists time to gain benefits. Xiaoming only needs 7 days. Rivendell is hidden in the valleys, forests, swamps and streams, hidden and not easy to be found. There is a narrow and exquisite white gravel path that leads to the depths of Rivendell Valley, winding and secluded. When you enter the valley, you will smell the air full of tree fragrance and soil, which is actually the high oxygen content in the air. The palace of the Elf King is built on the cliff, with waterfalls everywhere, setting off the White Palace, which is magnificent. It exudes a holy atmosphere from the inside to the outside. Even the fairy palace and heaven are no more than this. The descendants of the elves and some human heroes live here, and they are all protected by the owner of this place, King Elrond. King Elrond possesses the Ring of Air, Vea, one of the 3 rings of the elves, which can protect Rivendell from evil invasion. Rivendell was actually built by him. King Elrond is really amazing to build such a paradise-like place. He received the members of the Mingjing team very kindly. He thanked everyone for their contribution to the peace of Middle-earth and asked them to stay in Rivendell for a few more days. Besides, Gandalf and Aragorn have given the Mingjing team tasks, so they have to pay them. King Elrond met Zhang Xiaoming, Zhao Zhizhu, and Kraken separately. He also wanted to meet Xiao Xiao'er, but Zhang Xiaoming held him in his arms. King Elrond had been informed of Xiaoming's ability to clone himself by Aragorn the Strider. Aragorn felt that this ability would definitely contribute to the Justice Camp in Middle-earth. King Elrond naturally wanted to meet this human who was highly praised by Aragorn. He also wanted to see his skills. So that's how it is. Your master's clone technique, combined with self-destruction, is indeed a unique skill. After seeing Xiaoming's rough performance, King Elrond nodded repeatedly to express his approval. No wonder you can hold off the pursuit of 9 ring wraiths. In the future battle against evil, when we meet the ring wraiths again, your strength will be our great reliance. What? Fight against the ring wraiths again in the future? Xiaoming thought to himself, by that time, I'll have left. Okay. I can't rely on you. How should I say this to King Alan? Xiaoming sorted out his words. He said to King Alan apologetically, I may not be able to participate in future battles. This is God's will. According to the rules of the reincarnation space, things related to the space cannot be discussed. Even if you do, the characters in the plot will not understand. Of course, there is no need for the reincarnationists to explain it. The characters in the plot will naturally accept it. I'm sorry, I was confused a few days ago and considered Zhang and the Masters of the Middle-earth world to be 1 level lower. Now I have corrected it. I hope everyone will forgive me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 469. It should be noted that there are great differences between the original novel, film, and television works, and the reincarnation world. The original novel must follow the author's own settings. It must conform to the worldview created by the author. Film and television works are artistic recreations made by directors, producers, screenwriters, etc. based on the original novel in order to make the audience understand and enjoy it. The reincarnation space is to make the film novel real and turn it into a world that conforms to its own various power systems. So some things must not be consistent with the film novel. The most obvious one is that the actors in the movie are ordinary people, and the stronger ones are only about level 1. These actors definitely do not have attributes such as strength, physique, and agility above level 4. Even with the help of special effects, the vision of ordinary audiences cannot really accept battles above level 4. Just that speed exceeds the acceptance capacity of human eyes and brains. So there must be many differences between the presentation of the movie and the mission world experienced by the reincarnationists. Some other differences come from the parts that the movie deliberately ignores or changes due to time constraints or other considerations. For example, in the movie, Saruman sent out the army of orcs to chase and kill Frodo after the Ring team set out from Rivendell to snatch the Supreme Lord Ring. As for Frodo's journey from the Shire to Rivendell, Saruman did not send out any troops. This is not reasonable. Since Saruman already knew that Sauron had sent out the ring wraiths, he would certainly send people to assist. If he was lucky, he could take advantage of it and get the Supreme Lord ring or something. Gandalf had the fire ring Naya, one of the 3 rings of the elves. Saruman had always been envious and jealous. This was also one of the important reasons why he later went astray. If he could get the Supreme Lord ring, Saruman could naturally suppress Gandalf. It was also a way to vent his anger. Therefore, in the reincarnation world, Saruman sent some people to inquire about the news. However, these people were killed in batches by the 2 Xiao Mings. According to the development of the plot, the next step should be the famous King Elrond's meeting, and then the Ring Alliance was officially formed and left Rivendell to Mordor. During this period, Saruman used magic to attack the Fellowship of the Ring many times from a distance, and even forced them into the underground city of Moria, where they were attacked by orcs and trolls. Gandalf met the terrifying Balrog here and died with him. The Fellowship of the Ring lost its strongest force, and Saruman sent out his strong orc army to hunt down the Fellowship of the Ring. After that, there were many battles. If Xiao Ming knew these plots, he should follow this plot. The underground city of Moria is the most suitable place for Xiao Ming to display his abilities. There are also mithril mines there. There are countless benefits to be gained. Unfortunately, Xiao Ming didn't know the plot, and he couldn't stand Saruman for much longer. Besides, the Mingjing team didn't have much time to stay. At this time, Saruman can be said to trust the Worm King quite a lot. The Worm King had infused magic power into Saruman's body several times to help him learn the magic of the dead. Once or twice, Saruman was still on high alert. After 7 or 8 times, this vigilance gradually faded. Instead, he felt the joy of being able to use the magic of the dead, even though he could only summon a 0-level skeleton soldier at the beginning. This was an improvement from nothing to something. It was a completely different system of magic power. Saruman naturally felt the enormity and power of that magic system. This new power opened the door to him, and he would soon gain this powerful power. When it was also fully developed, no one in the entire Middle-earth would be able to resist Lord Saruman. Gandalf, elves, and the Dark King Sauron, they would all bow down to his power, even gods. Alas, wishful thinking is not only a characteristic of humans, but also of the Maya. Xiao Ming was very kind and let him have fun for several days. He was also making full preparations. On this day, the 2 of them went to a hidden secret room in the Orthan Tower to practice the magic of the dead again. The Worm King and Saruman intersected their palms, and Xiao Ming transmitted the magic power into Saruman's body. Xiao Ming originally planned to use the internal energy to heal injuries in martial arts movies and TV shows, and transmit power from Saruman's back. But the white-robed wizard was so smart that he would never turn his back to Xiao Ming. So the final posture for transmitting power was to face each other with both palms against each other. Saruman thought he had figured out John's background very well. His physical fitness was only level 4, and his magic power seemed good. But there was no one-time burst of big moves in the magic of the undead system. Even if he tried his best to sneak attack, he could not cause real harm to himself. And John would definitely not be able to resist his backhand attack. So he was more relieved. Confidence comes from strength. Saruman's ability is even better than Gandalf. He is a master of the 7th level. King Elrond is at the advanced level of the 7th level, and Zhang Zhong is just between the two of them, at the intermediate level of the 7th level. Saruman has always made the wrong choice. His opponent has never been John, but a Zhang Zhong he didn't know existed. Sun Shooting Arrow, Zhang Zhong's strongest melee skill, the powerful telekinetic arrow from Lu Xiaoming's right hand hit Saruman. Instantly blasted him into the corner, spitting blood and being seriously injured. Zhang Zhong also jumped out of Kunlun and stood in front of Saruman. The interior of the Orthan Tower is so solid. With such a huge force, the wall is still intact. But the 7th level Saruman is not a waste. At the same time as the sun shooting arrow burst out, Saruman instantly realized that something was wrong, and his right hand also sent out a powerful magic shock. Before attacking Saruman, Xiaoming was worried about arousing the other party's suspicion, so he naturally did not add a mental shield to himself. It was too late to put on a shield at this time. In terms of reaction speed, Saruman is far above the Insect King. So Saruman's magic shock hit Xiaoming without any hindrance. It also knocked his body against the wall. However, Saruman was only seriously injured, and Xiaoming had become a real corpse and disappeared randomly. Xiaoming tried his best but could not avoid this result. He still had to consume a free resurrection opportunity. After resurrecting not far away, Xiaoming took a minute and a half to rush to the secret room. When he arrived, Saruman had become a corpse. What kind of big waves can a seriously injured Saruman make when facing Zhang Zhong, who is stronger than him? After a series of arrows bombarded him, Saruman was dead. A generation of heroes fell silently. The body has not cooled down yet. So while it is hot, the Insect King inserted the straw on his tail into Saruman's tattered body. This unlucky child, in the end, he couldn't even keep his body intact. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 470. Xiaoming's original plan was to detonate the magic power he had injected into Saruman's body, causing serious injuries to Saruman from the inside. As long as Saruman could be seriously injured, Zhang Zhong could be released and he could be easily dealt with. He could also ensure his own safety by creating a mental shield. However, Saruman was too vigilant. Every time Xiaoming wanted to do something small, his intuition gave Xiaoming a strong warning. Stop. Don't do it, the end will definitely not be good. Even when Xiaoming changed his strategy and decided to let Zhang Zhong attack from Kunlun, Xiaoming's intuition still warned. However, the last warning was not as strong as before, and there was a sense of blessing and disaster. Xiaoming felt that he had enough to fight, so he acted decisively. The consequences were indeed so. Saruman died and the King of Insects also died once, which was equivalent to a lose-lose situation. They both had backers, and in principle, they could be resurrected. Xiaoming naturally resurrected normally according to the treatment of the reincarnation space. This resurrection was free. Because Saruman betrayed his own camp, his original backers, the Valor, did not allow him to be resurrected. Saruman withdrew from the stage of Middle-earth. In fact, Saruman did not die immediately and completely. His soul still roamed powerlessly in Middle-earth, and eventually disappeared and was forgotten by the world. Teaching Saruman magic is actually a very dangerous attempt. Xiaoming knows the risk of this action very well and it is easy to mess up. Xiaoming has a high probability of failing to attack Saruman. In that case, Saruman's power will be greatly enhanced. Who knows to what extent this powerful white-robed wizard will study the undead magic of another world. With his ability, it is normal for the disciple to surpass the master. In terms of comprehension and ability, Xiaoming is far behind Saruman. Saruman is likely to specialize in powerful undead magic and create a powerful undead army. Wouldn't that add huge strength to the evil camp? So Xiaoming also took countermeasures in Rivendell. he began to teach Strider Aragorn telekinesis. Aragorn is such a tough and decisive person. Xiao Ming just used telekinesis to help him a little bit, and successfully induced his own powerful telekinesis. Strider's telekinesis is a special system, which may be affected by Xiao Ming's shadow clone. In a very short time, Aragorn has mastered a kind of telekinesis ability that belongs to him. Long live the king, long live the king. He can summon 8864 level 3 telekinetic beast warriors in one breath, King's Guards. These guards can be any type of human soldiers. They will form a battle formation and fight in a legion-style battle with Aragorn as the center. This is just the most basic power of the king. Anyone who is loyal to him as king can get the blessing of Aragorn's telekinesis and improve their own combat effectiveness when fighting side by side with him. At the same time, everyone who regards him as king will also bring a certain combat power bonus to Aragorn. In other words, the more loyal subordinates there are on the battlefield, the stronger Aragorn will be, and the stronger his subordinates will be. Of course, it stands to reason that this power should not grow infinitely, and there should be an upper limit. It's just that we don't know what the upper limit is yet. Long live the king is truly a power that belongs exclusively to the king. And it's a natural power of the king. Ordinary kings can never come up with such a powerful power. Strider's bloodline is not ordinary. He is the descendant of a true human king. His ancestors once cut off Sauron's finger and stole the supreme ring. No wonder he can be so awesome. Xiao Ming, the insect king, is far behind. Although he is also a king of a race, it's a pity that his own consciousness is too low, and he has never practiced such a powerful king ability. But it doesn't matter. If we can't practice it ourselves, we can copy it. There is no copyright for telekinesis. In order to copy Aragorn's ability, Xiao Ming specially asked Aragorn for some blood and gave it to the insect king to absorb. In addition to fusion, some memory fragments were also read. Of course, the king's memory is not particularly easy to read. Just the part that was read was enough to shock Xiao Ming. It turned out that Aragorn was now over 80 years old. When he was young, he was taken to Rivendell by his mother and was protected by King Elrond. No wonder he was able to seduce King Elrond's Princess Arwen. After that, there were very few memories that could be read. They were also scattered and did not provide much useful information. Of course, Xiao Ming did not care about the information. He just wanted to simulate the ability of the king's teacher by fusing Aragorn's blood. How should we describe the result? The plagiarism was successful. But the ability of Long Live the King simulated by Xiao Ming was not very satisfactory. But there were also some small surprises. The ability of King's Guard was very useless to Xiao Ming. Xiao Ming had many abilities such as clones and mind beasts. Xiao Ming's original intention was to give up this part of the ability and devote all his energy to simulating King's power, the mutual bonus between the king and his subordinates. Unfortunately, Aragorn's ability was packaged and matched. If you want to pick and choose, it will be more difficult to simulate. It can only be copied as a whole, and the results of the simulation are also decreasing. Xiao Ming simulated King's Guard to 80% similarity, and can summon 64 third-level human guard beasts. Unfortunately, the combat power of the guard is actually not as good as the shadow clone. It is not very good. The advantage is that it consumes less telekinesis, and Xiao Ming can choose the type of soldiers. 64 cavalrymen are still very impressive. Moreover, there are no flying soldiers in the Midway continent, and Aragorn's summoning is limited by cognition. In the Magic Planet game, Xiao Ming has seen the 5th level flying soldiers of the human race, the Griffin Knight. This is a soldier formed by humans combining griffins and infantry. And it is not a regular soldier. Xiao Ming has only seen it on Liangshan Marsh. However, this is enough. Now Xiao Ming can summon a 3rd-level Griffin Knight. This made Aragorn envious for a long time. power of the King Xiaoming can only simulate 50% of the similarity. But this is a truly useful ability. I don't know if this ability can also be applied to Xiaoming himself and the Zerg, between himself and the Zerg, or between himself and the undead. Later experimental results showed that Xiaoming, the king, is a half-baked one. Aragon's ability can only play the greatest role for humans. Zerg humans can play about half of the effect, Zerg and undead can only play 30% of the effect. All discounted. But even so, it is already powerful enough. The number of Zerg and undead that can be accumulated is too large. And because the power of the king only works on the battlefield. As the master of the Zerg, the concept of the battlefield is much broader than that of Aragorn, a human.